I'm Kerry Bowers, and I approve this message.
Greetings. I want to use the next few and highly valued minutes you have graciously extended to me to succinctly address my presidential campaign, a campaign that I pray becomes our campaign. If you have been to the homepage of my website, then you have likely seen what I call the objective of this campaign. It is posted in a graphic near the top of the page which reads, "Setting the Standard for 2016 Presidential Candidates." The standard I refer to is not intended as a measure for individual character, for I know there will be many a candidate whose life has been lived beyond that which I can compare. Instead, it is the standard by which you may examine and judge the proposals I recommend for restoring this nation's eroded blessings against those that may or may not be presented by the other candidates. However, nothing I propose can become a standard by my own doing. It will require you to make it a standard. It will require you to demand from every candidate the same or greater level of specificity that I have given to each issue. In other words, you will demand that each candidate tell you, and in detail, where they think we are as a nation, where we need to go as a nation, and exactly how they propose to achieve the ends they recommend. If their recommendations do not include specific objectives, strategies to employ in pursuit of their objectives, and goals by which we can measure our progress towards objective achievement, then the candidate has failed to present an adequate platform for your thoughtful examination. And moving now to the theme of my campaign, which is Restore America's Blessings, you will find it prominently posted in a banner at the top of my website homepage. The blessings I of course refer to are those that have been endowed by our Creator and secured for each of us within our Constitution, those being life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To restore each of these blessings in full will require an extensive restoration of the many entities that have contributed to their erosion. Following are 10 I have identified, and that may well encompass the majority of those necessary to assure the restoration of our nation's blessings. First is the restoration of the federal character of government, which has been too much consumed by an overreaching national character. Restoration in this case can best be accomplished by government confining its activities specifically to those enumerated in the Constitution. Complementing this course of action will be the elimination of every government department and subdepartmental entity that serves as either an unconstitutional or unnecessary weight contributing to the imbalance of our government's character. Second is the restoration of state sovereignty, which will occur in direct proportionality with the restoration of the federal character of government. Just as monopolies in the private sector serve to disadvantage small businesses and the consumer, so too is the case with a national government exercising a monopoly over the states and their resources. I believe that 50 innovative, highly competitive entities, each designing and implementing efficient and cost-effective measures, will best serve the individual states and thus the nation as a whole. Third is the restoration of the sanctity of the Bill of Rights. Interestingly, Alexander Hamilton wrote against the adoption of a Bill of Rights in Federalist Paper number 84, noting that they would even be dangerous. He made this point on the understanding that, and I quote, they would contain various exceptions to powers which are not granted, and on this account would afford a colorable pretext to claim more than were granted. For why declare that things shall not be done which there is no power to do? The truth is, after all the declamations we have heard, that the Constitution is itself, in every rational sense and to every useful purpose, a Bill of Rights. To the dissatisfaction of Secretary Hamilton, a Bill of Rights was adopted, but it did not identify, and rightly so, any limits on the people or add any new powers to the federal government. Instead, it more specifically defined the limited powers of government. Such limits, too, have been expanded in great part to include the state governments, which came subsequent to the ratification of the 14th Amendment. Therefore, any attempt to infringe upon the Bill of Rights and by any government shall be construed as an attempt to either undermine or usurp the Constitution of the United States. Fourth is the restoration of fiscal responsibility and accountability. Responsibility will be achieved by strictly adhering to the constitutionally enumerated powers, achieving and maintaining a balanced budget, and constructing and complying with a debt reduction schedule. Accountability will be achieved by making those who expend the nation's resources liable for their expenditures and subject to both criminal and civil penalties where willful and wanton disregard for fiscal responsibility occurs. Fifth is the restoration of the economy. This will be achieved by 1. Eliminating restrictive laws, rules, and regulations that unnecessarily deter the development and growth of businesses throughout the United States. And 2. Through the elimination of income, payroll, estate, gift, capital gains, and corporate taxes, all of which have served to penalize productivity, reward non-productivity, deter investment, and indirectly subsidize foreign businesses and corporations abroad. In place of these will be a single national sales tax and a family consumption allowance that will help negate the regressive effects of consumption-based taxes. We will also eliminate the IRS and repeal the 16th Amendment with wording that will forever prevent the reoccurrence of such tax burden again upon the people. 6 is the restoration of individual financial responsibility. This will be accomplished through the American Security Reform Plan I have designed and posted for your examination on my website. The plan includes a detailed schedule for eliminating Social Security while fulfilling financial obligations to those who pay directly into the system. The main points of the plan include raising the age for the initiation of benefits, halting further benefit credit accumulation, and implementing a formula-driven benefit reduction schedule applicable one time to each beneficiary upon the initiation of their benefits. 7th is the restoration of our healthcare system. To restore truly accessible and affordable health care, I will recommend the implementation of the American Medical Reform Plan that I have designed and also posted to my website for your review. It is a plan unlike any other government health program that will shift the focus from demand-side economics to supply-side economics, and with a focus too on the use of free enterprise as the means to achieve the desired ends. The AMR plan will substantially increase the number of healthcare professionals, eliminate border restrictions to insurance, and correct the current imbalance of medical liability by shifting a greater share of risk and liability to the patient and their insurer. Implementation of the plan will result in a scheduled elimination of the Affordable Care Act, Medicare, federal funding to Medicaid, and ultimately reduce federal funding for health care by more than 90%. 8th is the restoration of immigration law enforcement. We will secure the borders and enforce immigration laws, period. We will also design a means by which we can better track those who come into the country with a temporary authorization and confirm they have departed as scheduled. In addition to complying with current law, I will also introduce my American Immigration Reform Plan that will provide a means to citizenship for those illegal immigrants who have well assimilated into our society. The basics of the plan include a special registration, no prior criminal convictions other than simple misdemeanors, rendering assistance to immigration law enforcement, payment of financial restitution through the tax system, and obtaining citizenship in no less than 5 years or more than 8 years after implementation of the AIR program. Those failing to meet AIR requisites or found to have obtained citizenship by fraudulent means shall be detained and deported in accordance with the applicable laws. 9th is the restoration of truth and integrity in government. This will occur as a direct consequence of vigilant leadership, keeping the focus of government solely upon its constitutionally limited powers. An important contributing factor to this restoration effort will be the elimination of those entities that have served as instruments of corruption, used by the corrupt to impose corruption upon the people, those principally being legislative earmarks, subsidies, and tax laws. I expect government to become not transparent, as some like to phrase it, but visible in all that it does and what it expends. The only reason government should be behind a closed door is when national security may otherwise be compromised. 10th, and last for this short presentation, is the restoration of the people's faith and confidence in their government. I believe this absolutely can be achieved, but only if we have achieved the previous 9 restorative acts I have addressed. If the government is doing only that which it is authorized to do, then the people cannot hold fault to the elected representatives, and any contempt they may hold would be misdirected from the real problem. In summary, I believe the best route to the restoration of our nation's eroded blessings is to restore government's federal character, state sovereignty, the sanctity of the Bill of Rights, fiscal responsibility and accountability, the economy, personal financial responsibility, the healthcare system, immigration law enforcement, truth and integrity in government, and ultimately, the people's faith and confidence in their government. I thank you for your attention to this presentation, and I encourage you to learn more about each of these topics on my website at either kerrybowers.com or restoreamericasblessings.com.